Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to today's digital learning series brought to you by Grow Asia. I'm Borch, head of programs for Grow Asia, and I'll be hosting this exciting session. Thank you, first of all, to those who have joined us yesterday and for joining us again today. Let's take a quick look at today's agenda. We have a packed and insightful day ahead, again, filled with very valuable information and inspiring innovation for across the ASEAN. Before we begin, we would like to share a few housekeeping notes. We are in a webinar environment, so we can't see you, but you can see us. Even that's the case, feel free to use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen to ask questions. You may also use the chat box to direct any questions you may have for speakers today. And for any technical issues, please feel free to chat us or email Runti at growasia.org. As you can see, this session is being recorded. This is a public session, and we will share this widely after this. So you may want to tune in and see the recording afterwards if you missed some parts of our session today. Now let's start with a quick poll to see which organizations or type of organization are presented here today. You'll see a selection on your screen from startups, investors, private sector partners, NGOs, civil society organization, government, or from the academia, and anything else. So you can see the selection on your screen. I will pause for a while and see if we can hit that mark that I've been waiting for before we close the poll. All right, great. Think we have a strong representation again from our NGO and civil society organization partners, but we also have our private sector partners waiting or viewing us today. Let's stop sharing the poll. Thank you so much for getting us started. And thank you again for joining today. For those who are new to Grow Asia, we are Grow Asia, and we're established by the World Economic Forum and the ASEAN to build a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable food system through multi-stakeholder platforms. And you are tuning in this today in our digital learning series. The digital learning series, or DLS, is part of Grow Asia's GrowVenture program. And it's a platform of our digital community of practice to share insights and knowledge on how digital solutions can be developed and scaled up to benefit smallholder farmers. GrowVentures aims to accelerate the adoption of climate-smart innovations, putting digital solutions directly into the hands of farmers. We're supported by our corporate partners, Visa in Taiwan, and by the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs of the Government of Korea through IFAD under the Smallholder Economic Empowerment through Digital Solutions Project, or SEEDS. Today's DLS serves as an innovation showcase where we are spotlighting the top 10 innovators from the Grow Asia Innovation Challenge 2024. These trailblazers will share with you their journey and the solutions that they have developed in support on the agri-food systems in the region. Grow Asia is proud to partner with Beanstalk AgTech to source these partners and to support us in the Grow Asia Innovation Challenge 2024 by partnering with us with highest potential digital agri-food innovators contributing to climate-smart agriculture outcomes across Southeast Asia. Today's innovators will be focused on supply chain and marketability solutions. So let's give them a round of applause. You will see that virtually on the bottom of your screen. So if you can do so. Now let's welcome our first presenter from virtual irrigation. Oh, I'm so sorry, but before that, allow me also to introduce Justin Ahmed of Beanstalk AgTech, who will be your moderator for the Q&A session. In today's session, Justin is from our incredible partner at Beanstalk AgTech. All right, now let me see those applause, virtual applause, everybody. Yay. Now let's welcome our first presenter from the Virtual Irrigation Academy. Simon, floor is yours. Over to you.
Thanks, Borge. Hi, everyone. My name's Simon. I'm the Managing Director of Virtual Irrigation Academy. VIA, as we call it, it started life under Australia's National Science Agency as a research project. That's the CSIRO. And then in 2022, you can jump to the next slide. In 2022, we spun out of CSIRO and we created a charity to hold the IP. And that's primarily to keep that purpose of using that IP for smallholder farmers. Oh, this is a different presentation than what I was expecting, but that's okay. We'll get through it. And so have you still got the video for this to show now? Okay, we'll go without it. We'll make do. So VIA, why we exist, that was supposed to be a video that articulates that really nicely. But as we all know, there's a massive problem in the world around the need to grow food and need to grow it more sustainably, and particularly around the use of water. In low and middle income countries, primarily, most of the crops are produced by smallholder farmers. They're responsible for food security in the main part. But actual water scarcity is obviously an issue, but also the perceived scarcity of water leads to overuse of water and leads to conflict amongst farmers. And so what we've done is we've created an information system to help these farmers manage their water use better, make sure it's used fairly and equitably in that sense. And so what's that based around is what we call the chameleon soil water sensor. The sensor is buried in the ground and it's attached to a light that shows blue when the plants have plenty of water available. It shows green when they're in a state of equilibrium, when things are okay. And it shows red when they need a drink, so when the plant's under water stress. Next. And so exactly how that works is the sensor itself, and where the innovation really comes in, is the sensor measures suction. So it measures not how much water is in the soil, but actually measures how hard the plant has to work to get the water out of the soil. And what that means is it works the same and gives the same measurement, gives the same reading to the farmer in every single soil type. So, a plant that's growing in a sandy soil, if there's plenty of water available, the light will show blue. That same plant if they see a light and it's in a clay soil, it still means that there's plenty of water available, even though the actual soil water content will be very different. And so the sensor that's in the ground can be measured in a couple of ways, either really simply through a card, a credit card sized device that connects to a single sensor and will read a single sensor at a time. Or we have a Wi-Fi enabled version that will take a reading from an array of sensors. It'll store that reading onto the device, and then when it's got Wi-Fi connectivity, or you can hotspot to your phone, it'll upload that information onto our website where it can be visualized. Just this year, we've also developed an app that allows the users of the Chameleon card to be able to record and display their information, so that they've still got a way of collecting that information and doing that. And so what we say is that these colors that you collect and the colors that our devices show, they're not answers to problems, but they're information. And that information has a meaning, and that meaning is a threshold for action. So the farmer then takes that information, they put it into their own experiential knowledge, they put it into their own environmental context. into their own space, and then that enables them to make the decision and a more informed and a better decision around their use of water. Next slide, thanks. And so what this has enabled and what we really talk about is the technology itself in terms of the tools themselves are useful, but actually where the power of this comes in is what we've created a universal language to talk about water. And that's a language of colors and of patterns. And so, like I said, these colors have meanings. They mean the same thing regardless of soil type and, almost regardless of crop. That works the same for the vast majority of crops that are grown. And so these colors are then able to be shared. So, a farmer can take a reading in a field. They can then share that to a water user association or a water manager about, okay, I need water today. And those farmers can collectively work together to then help inform the water managers about making a better decision around water. In the same sense, if those readings are mapped to a crop on our website, which you're able to do, and then you take readings over the life cycle of that crop, you end up with a pattern like you can see on the screen there. And that pattern represents the drying and the re-wetting of the root zone over the time, over the life cycle of that crop. And so, drying is the roots taking the water up out of the soil, and then re-wetting is an irrigation event that comes through and then re-wets the soil. And so you can see through that pattern on the top there that the colors change from blue to green to red as the plant takes the water up, and then it goes back to blue when irrigation is applied. And then what we're able to do, and the unique way that our system's able to work, particularly in government or in project type settings, is it allows for those patterns to be compared. You've mapped it against a crop, you've mapped it against a yield as well for that crop, and then you can see, okay, for this water pattern, for this profile of soil moisture in my soil, what yield was I able to get out of that? And you're able to compare that to somebody else. So we can see on the bottom, those two bottom ones there, that top pattern delivered a yield of 12 tonnes per hectare. The bottom pattern delivered a yield of around 4 tonnes per hectare. And so then an extension officer or a project manager or a farm manager can then come through and go, okay, what interventions do we need to put in place to fix that bottom one to get it up to the potential of what we need it to be. Next slide, thanks. To support the work of the tools themselves, we've also got an online learning course that's free and available to anybody. And this really goes through and merges the science behind the technology that was developed at CSIRO with some real practical case studies of those tools being used in the field. And then, okay, what are we experiencing, the questions that come out of that, and really kind of takes a deep dive behind that. And that's freely available on our website. Next slide, thanks. So what are the benefits that we've seen? We've surveyed thousands of farmers from around the world. Over 60% of them have improved their yields. Over 70% of them have saved time through reduced irrigation. Over 40% have seen reduced use of inputs, so reduced fertilizer by not overwatering and leaching the fertilizer out. And 72% of them have saved water. But if we go to the next slide, the big one that farmers in particular come back and tell us about is the reduction in conflict, is that they're not fighting over water anymore. They've now got a way of talking about water, about making decisions about who uses water, who needs it when. That reduces conflict, reduces people waking up in the middle of the night and irrigating in the middle of the night when nobody's looking to steal water when it's not their turn. So for us, from a social point of view, from a charitable point of view, from the purpose that we've created it, this is the really big one for us, is how do we help these people to have a better life, reducing conflict, making their communities a better place to live. And that's been a really great part of what we've been able to do. Next slide, thanks. So like I said, we started the company in 2022, and since that time, so over the last 2 and a bit years, we've made 25,000 and sold 25,000 of these sensors, and generated some significant revenue off that. So have some really good traction moving forward, mostly in Africa, but also in parts of Southeast Asia and South Asia. We've been included in EFAD's Rural Solutions portal, and a number of other institutions have also got behind us and validated what we've done and pushed that through. So, we're really looking forward to, hopefully expanding what we do and seeing where things can go into the future. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks so much for your presentation and for sharing all that Virtual Irrigation Academy is doing. And particularly around when you speak about the social impact of reducing conflict over water, I think very underestimated the challenge of managing agency over water-based decisions. So great to see your impact on that. You started to talk about just towards the end there, your penetration. I know you're present in over 20 markets across Africa, South Asia, and Southeast Asia today. How do you adapt your technology and your approach effectively as you go and move from one market to the next?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, so like I said, so we made the system to work on a color-based system. So then it's universal in terms of language. So we don't have problems around language or literacy in that event. So we don't need modifications to the products in those senses. But where we do try and really work is that we find local partners that are on the ground, that understand the local context, that understand the local way the farming system works, the irrigation system works, that has the relationship with those farmers, that has the trust of those farmers, and work with those partner organizations, whether they're private or public, NGOs, government. It doesn't really matter in that sense. But we find those people on the ground because we totally understand when we can't be the experts of every single market that we try and go into.
Thanks, Simon. And I think I'll pass it back to Borge. Takes to the next.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Justin and Simon. Very interesting indeed. And thank you so much, everyone. So I'm just going to ask you to just keep putting your question on the chat. Any of our panelists this afternoon will be able to respond to that. Also in the Q&A box. Now on to our next presenter from Ignatia. We have Stacy and Theresa. Stacy will be presenting and Theresa will be in our panel later on in the session. Over to you, Stacy.
Thank you so much, Borge. Hello, everyone. My name is Stacy. With my colleague Teresa from Ignatia, which is a deep tech global venture focused on democratizing weather intelligence to users in the tropics and with a keen interest in smallholder farmers. So we currently have active operations in over 15 countries spread across Africa, LATAM, and now entering the South Asian market. If you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so at the heart of the work that we do is the belief that empowering farmers and key stakeholders with the right data and tools can reshape food systems in the tropics. And at Ignatia, we leverage advanced AI to deliver highly accurate and localized tropical weather forecasts. So our model has an accuracy rate of 84%, which is a game changer, and has been a game changer for more than 3 million smallholder farmers who are already using it. So these farmers who are heavily impacted by weather unpredictability can now make data-driven decisions that boost their yields and enhance climate resilience, all through accessible digital solutions delivered right through their phones. Next slide. In terms of just assessing what the cost of climate change is, we see that climate change is indeed already significantly impacting livelihoods, environments, and people, with agriculture and food supply sector being one of the most impacted and most vulnerable sectors. Impacts include yield losses of between 3 to 10% per degree Celsius increase, with high vulnerability regions like sub-Saharan Africa and parts of South Asia actually expected to have yield reductions reaching up to 30%. Next slide. And actually, in fact, according to the World Economic Forum, extreme weather has been listed as the number one risk in the next decade. Next slide, please. And the reality actually is that unpredictable weather patterns are becoming more frequent and severe, especially in the tropical regions, as you can see from that illustration. Next slide. And also now with a focus on Southeast Asia, which is home to over 100 million farmers, many of whom are already feeling the effects. And unfortunately, existing global weather models simply don't work well in the tropics. And we are seeing predictions that are obsolete, and farmers are left vulnerable to extreme weather events in these regions. Next slide. In terms of quantifying what the impact is, weather is actually the leading cause of crop loss, with drought being the most damaging, and accurate weather forecasts are essential for improving agricultural productivity, and farmers need better weather data to make more informed decisions and to protect their crops from climate-related risks. Next slide. So what role does Ignitia play exactly? So we fix one of the biggest challenges in tropical agriculture, which is poor rainfall forecasts. And we use optimized physics-informed AI models, which combines over 10 years of reforecasting data, and we deliver better weather solutions. So we started in West Africa, actually, which is one of the hardest places to predict weather. And we have outperformed global models already in that place. And today we are applying this same model across, and we're planning to apply the same model across Southeast Asia with equally impressive results. Next slide. In terms of comparing ourselves to our competitors, Ignitia's focused model consistently outperforms competitors and other global models on all measurable metrics, as you can see. In terms of accuracy, we achieve 82% compared to global average of around 63%. And this means that our forecasts are not only more accurate, but also they're more reliable. And this improves their actual behavior of farmers to be more information seeking and hence improve to make more improved and more informed decisions which are based on data. Next slide. Next slide, please. On our science, so Ignitia has been incorporating AI at its core for the last several years since 2017, which has enabled us to produce highly accurate data due to our longer reinforced learning models. And it's also more location-specific predictions compared to other models. And also we are faster and we're able to geographically scale at a lower cost. So what we're trying to do is we're asking ourselves, how might we digitally and easily deliver weather and climate intelligence to the hands of 2 million smallholder farmers in the Southeast Asia market that we are targeting, and starting with Vietnam. Next slide. And rationale for expanding to this Vietnam market is that Southeast Asia market is that Southeast Asia is not just a region that's vulnerable to climate change. It's also a region with immense agricultural potential. And the market here is projected to account for around 31% of global agricultural and fisheries consumptions growth by 2033. That's according to OECD, which is the highest actually in the region, only followed closely by Sub-Saharan Africa at 18%. And also in this region, we have seen high digital readiness with countries, for instance, like Vietnam, which have an almost 100% smartphone penetration rate. Next slide. So on how we deliver our product. So we deliver focus right from the next minute right through to the next season. So we have different skills for which our focus are delivered. Next slide. And we deliver this critical climate intelligence directly to farmers through their mobile phones using simple text messages to provide weather forecast and agricultural advisory. So through our partnerships, especially with telcos and mobile network operators, we have been able to reach over 3 million unique subscribers globally, and we work with a wide range of stakeholders, including including NGOs in the food system space and government institutions to co-design and deliver these services better. Next slide. In terms of the impact that we have achieved over the last couple of years, Ignitia currently has over 500,000 paying active users across all our markets, and we have so far reached 3 million unique subscribers. And independent evaluations that we have done show that 89% of farmers who are using our services or who use weather forecasts have improved their farming practices, especially around planting, input application and harvests, and planning for harvesting, with a significant annual income increase. And more farmers have also reported improved climate resilience. But we believe that this is just the beginning, and with the right partnerships, we believe that we can scale our solution to reach millions of more farmers across the Southeast Asia that we are targeting. Next slide. Yeah, and we at Ignitia, we have a global team that supports the extensive work that we are doing. And we also understand that transforming agriculture in Southeast Asia requires more than just technology. It actually requires active partnerships, which is an aspect that GrowAsia is actually actively advocating for. And that's why we are very happy to be part of this GrowAsia program. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Stacy. Fantastic to learn a little bit more about Ignitia, and I understand that you and also your colleague Teresa will be participating in the Q&A, so thanks for that. Obviously, weather forecasting tools are quite popularly used and already used quite widely in some spaces around Southeast Asia. But what I find obviously really compelling and interesting, besides the results that you've shared, is your unique approach, your focus on the tropics. And I'm wondering, what does that focus on tropical regions allow you to do differently from a tech, product, or even a growth perspective?
Thanks for the question, Justin. Can I just come in here maybe? So our forecast actually does not only work for the tropics. We have superior accuracy everywhere where rainfall forecasts are driven by heat. So heat is one of the main factors that makes rainfall more unpredictable, which is also why, for example, you see accuracy dropping in the summer in the global north, in Europe or the US. We just believe that people in emerging markets are kind of disproportionately affected by not having access to some of these tools because of insufficient radar coverage and because of how those tools are usually distributed. And then they are disproportionately affected by not having access to mitigation and feeling the impacts of climate change, which is why we focus on that markets. And the tropical regions or emerging markets is also quite big, scale geographically speaking, and also speaking in terms of people. So we cannot even say that we are just specific for the tropics, but we are actually localized for every single farm or location, because we work on such a high resolution down to a 1 kilometer grid, meaning every person or farmer that receives alerts, forecasts, or advisories receives a service that is uniquely tailored and relevant to their specific conditions.
Thanks so much, Teresa and Stacy. I'll hand it back to Borj at this point.
Thank you so much, Stacy and Teresa and Justin as well. Thank you for that presentation. And now on to our next presenter from Map My Crop. Aravind, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Namaste from India. This is Arvind. I'm part of marketing team at Map My Crop. Today, I'll be, so the name suggests, right? Map My Crop. So you map anything and you try to extract all the information and you try to drive an insight from it and try to provide intelligence. That's what we do. That's what we have been doing since quite some time. And before I delve into Map My Crop, I just want to talk about few problems out there. I think the previous speakers also talked about climate, risk intelligence, weather forecasting, all these aspects. But I want to delve deeper into what are the problems that a small farmer faces and also small agribusinesses faces in recent times, right? So first of all, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. Uncertainty in terms of, you never know when it will rain, or right. There's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of lack of data, right? So that's a real time data which is always not accurate. So there's a lot of things that are happening. Most of the farming that happens is through their experience, what farmers are doing, or what others are doing. But data driven farming is something which is picking up right now. So the lack of data is one a bigger major aspect. And how do we utilize those resources and try to optimize your yields? So that's where we want to focus on, and so that's where we would like to work upon, etc. So next slide, please. And before, in terms of when I talk about problems, right? So by 2050, the world needs to produce 60% more food with the growing population, right? With the limited resources, unpredictable weather, and outdated bit of farming practices. How do we do it? How do we, try to address this issue? So that's where there are a lot of technologies that are coming up. There are a lot of startups that are coming up in the space. We are one of those which we are trying to address this issue with our own platform, which we have developed internally. And that's where MapMyCrop 360-degree Agro Suite, comes into picture. These are the main problems, and we just wanted to address one by one with with our platform. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the our 360-degree Agro Suite, what does it do? It collects all the real-time data with all the satellites, and we are into sustainability, and we automate all the process. And at the end of the day, we also optimize all the resource and drive intelligence with our 360-degree Agro Suite. So that's the how in next slide I'm going to dig deeper into how does it work, right? So next slide, please. So what do we do is we have different type of data points, right? We collect data from satellites, whether we have internally developed algorithms, we have agronomic team, and we have other data resources, and we also develop internal AI/ML models with the help of a lot of data that we have. And what we are trying to do is we try to process the data, and we have internet develops for different types of crops, different varieties of crops, and different types of climatic zones all across the globe. So that's where our engine comes into place, and we drive everything to to a platform like a web API or on a mobile. So basically, our platform can be used by a farmer, small holding farmer, also a big holding farmer as well, and also agribusinesses out there who just wants to understand what exactly is happening in the crop, what they are trying to do, and what is the yield forecast. I mean, what are the problems. So we have different types of indices that we try to track, and these are very real time, and that's where we try to get all the information and get the information processed and deliver actual intelligence on that particular farm, right? On a particular farms across the globe. That's what we are trying to do, guys. Next slide, please. The main platform is, the crop monitoring platform. So the idea is this is how the dashboard looks. We have different sources of satellites from different providers, and we have different. I mean, we have developed internally a lot of, doing a lot of research, etc. And the point is to deliver actual intelligence, and also it's very quick, and you can start right away, and it can be deployed at any point of at any farm across globally. So that's how that's what we are trying to do. Next slide, please. And the second main feature is the crop type detection. Let's say if there is a lot of area out there, and there are people out there who are trying to identify which crop in that particular land is, so we can do it in seconds. That's a beautiful feature that we have developed internally. So you can automatically identify all the crop types and understand what exactly is happening in that particular crop. Yeah. Next slide, please. And there's one more farm boundary detection. So it can detect all the farm boundaries with with high accuracy. So this is also very useful for all the agribusinesses out there who are trying to do it in a very large scale. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide. I mean, just click on it. Yeah, just click on it once again. Once again, this is a farm. Once again, once again. So this is how it can, it can automatically detect the farm. Next slide, please. So this is these are the different types of crops that are there in the farm with the different ledgers. So that's how the platform actually, understands which crop is there out there. And beyond all the three features, we also have different types of softwares for across tree monitoring, drone monitoring, etc. In all these aspects. So where we try to analyze irrigation, analyze forest, what exactly is happening in forest, what type of trees are there in all these aspects, right? So next slide, please. I just wanted to dive deep into what exactly we're doing in Philippines because we are talking about Southeast Asia as a market. So Davao is where we just recently entered Southeast Asia. Previously, we were working with India, then a part of US and so African markets. But recently, that we've dived deep into Southeast Asia markets, and we're working with the government out there and got Department of Agriculture. And the idea is to validate all the 5,000 hectares and with our drone seed assistance with our platform. That's what we're trying to do. And next slide, please. And with this as a current pilot, we have also achieved 80% confidence level in that particular Davao rice field, and we would like to expand further in this market with the kind of intelligence and platform that we have. That's why I'm right here in terms of doing this. Next slide, please. Our USP, there are a lot of platforms and a lot of agri-tech startups. There are a lot of companies out there doing a lot of things, but our USP is our accuracy, that high definition intelligence satellite mapping, right? So that's how it is. That's how we differ. That's how our accuracy differs. Next slide, please. At the end of the day, it's all about creating impact. So how we have a lot of data, we have the accuracy, and we have increased the yield of many farmers, and we are working with 5 million farmers across the across the globe. Next slide, please. I'm running out of time. Yes, these are the few impact numbers and creating sustainable atmosphere across with all the farms that we're working by reducing the CO2 reduction. Next slide. These are the few awards that we have, for the last couple of years. We've tried and bagged few awards for the work. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Arvind. I'm going to jump in here just because I know we need to make time for the rest of our presenters, but want to thank you for the depth of your presentation. And I think speaking to, what is a meaningful question when we're talking about some of the satellite imagery forecasts and decision-making support providers as part of our program, which is what is your really unique advantage? And I think you really shared that quite well. I think one of the things that was very interesting to see about your platform is the breadth of solutions and kind of decision support tools that you use on that platform. I wanted to understand from you, why is that 360-degree approach really important? Do you worry at times about wearing too thin, making trade-offs in quality versus the breadth of your service? And are there typical entry points that you see users of your platform tapping into more than others?
Sure. Uh, the 360-degree approach is critical because agriculture is inherently interconnected. Factors like weather, soil conditions, crop health, all are intertwined. Addressing just one element in isolation doesn't provide the comprehensive support that farmers need. That's why by offering a full suite of tools like crop monitoring, boundary detection, the models, water management, weather management, I think all these tools are really important to make a holistic decision for a particular farmer to increase their productivity and also towards sustainability. That's where we are very careful not to compromise quality for breadth. Each feature is, of our suite is rigorously tested, designed to be user friendly. And also we focus on integrating high quality data across all the features to maintain consistent accuracy and usability. And also our modular approach allows farmer to start with one feature and add others when they see fit, ensuring that we provide depth and also value. Hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Arvind. Yes, that really does answer my question. I appreciate that, and I'll hand it back to Borch.
Thank you, Arlen and Justin. I'm seeing really a lot of our innovators for this specific cohort already using AI tech. I might be quite late on that, but it might be around for quite some time, but it's quite impressive to see that applied in the agri-food systems. Now, on to our next presenter to share with us, Naveen from Fleet Farm. Over to you, Naveen.
Thank you. Hello, namaste, sawadika, everyone. I just want to give me a thumbs up if you have grown a plant or have done farming. So I have some context. We are Five Farm. We are democratizing precision. Sorry for the typo here. Next slide, please. So, what is the problem that we or the entire agriculture as an industry is facing? That we have a still growing population. It's deaccelerated, but still we are growing, and the food demand is increasing. Specifically for seeing, we can eat now everything everywhere in every season. So there's a much higher demand that was there 10 years ago, and almost roughly we have to double in 5 years. And you must, as most of the presenter here have brought it up, that speculative decision making is one of the biggest challenges for farmers, and most of their decisions is on visual cue. You go to a farm and you go to a field and you see how the crop conditions are, and based on that you make a decision, which may be wrong, which may be right, but it's speculative. And the second problem that we have seen is manual irrigation or fertigation, or for a broader sense, it's manual labor, where every decision that you decide, okay, I want to give this much water, someone has to go and do it, and labor shortages. Not a new thing, it's been there in agriculture, it's getting more difficult and difficult to find the right labor on the right time in farms to actually do the production and manufacturing. Next slide. And our goal is to make precision farming the default way to grow food. And right now, a lot of it is based on guesswork or rainfall or availability of different solutions. But if we are able to transition and build solutions which and makes everyone who is growing anything to be precise in amount of water, fertilizer, or any other input that is given, I think that is going to increase the productivity across Southeast Asia by almost 20 to 30%. Next. Next slide. So we have created a tool called FiHub and FiSense. Our solution is farm controller, you can say, which actually digitizes the farm in true sense, where once you have made a decision about something, we are able to automate and actually take those tasks into real world and run workflows. To start with, the most simple workflows that we are solving is the irrigation and the fertigation. You could see on the screen, the left side is the box, which is like glorified Alexa, but for farm, where you can give it instruction and then it can go and sit on the farm and talk to pump, motors, valves, or any other equipment that is around, and take decisions like how much water to give and how much fertilizer to give, and act as a brain of the farm. And we've been able to bring down the cost to almost $500, but it's still a little expensive for context of Southeast Asia farmers growing paddy. But we are working on various models of community irrigation, of centralized irrigation, where it's going to come down to almost $50 to $100 per farmer. Next slide. And you can see it can be deployed anywhere. We have been putting it all across India, and we're expanding in Thailand and soon in Malaysia. And it can go anywhere because no one farm is same. And we've learned it that we cannot create a standard solution for everyone, but we have to make it so simple that it's going to fit everywhere and it can solve anything without having to change your existing infrastructure. And yeah, we've been able to put it across various places, and we are growing quite fast. So we hope to scale it as to 1 million devices in next coming years. Next slide. And then you have to simplify. Once you put the hardware there, then we are able to take control of the farm, and we are able to solve all the daily tasks of farmer by simplified interface, where you can just turn it on and off a device by a switchboard, or you can write complex rule in most simple way in their native language. You can select the amount of time and you can select the amount of duration it has to repeat. A lot of complex logic can be written by just simplifying the workflows, and then it makes it so easy for farmers to not have to walk away 1 kilometer and turn on or turn off the things. Next slide, please. And then once we solve the problem of automation where we are able to regulate, we then go to crop specific, where some of the crops, all the crops in different region or even same crops in different soil type or in different season require different workflows. So building on top of our rule engine, we have created workflows for crop specific, where we take data from satellite, map the boundary and all the bunch of stuff that you would have seen in the representation. From satellites, we do that, and then uh, we map the irrigation zones, and yeah, I mean the model start doing much more accurate and much more efficient irrigation and fertigation, which is the most fundamental and the most repetitive task in a farm, giving water and fertilizer to plant. Next slide, please. And once you bring all these sensors, it's the farmers are able to also understand that their actions are actually data driven, not based on some speculation, and not based on a broader data. Like, your climate grid is widely broad, but farm conditions can change one field to other. So it has to be on-site sensor data which we work with currently, but we aim to provide, once the accuracy of climate models increase, we'll be able to bring the sensing part from the third-party climate APIs. But for now, we use our own sensor network, and which can do any complex thing. It's a built-on model, so when all the computing we can use to create workflows is all being inbuilt. Next slide. Since I'm running out of time, I'll have to skip. So, and as we evolve and as we see the technologies coming in agriculture, we are expecting more complex devices like drones or rovers, or maybe some robotic equipments like self-driving tractor will come, and they will again have to interface with something, because eventually all this decision advisory boils down to farmer taking that decision. If your advisory is 99% accurate, but the farmer is not implementing it correctly, it's not having the impact that it could potentially have. So that's the most important aspect of what we do and why we do, is to take off that burden from farmers of implementing a technology. They are already making less than $1,000 a season. For them to implement another protocol and follow several checklists, maybe a good idea, but it's a burden on them. So we want to build technologies that not increase burden on smallholder farmers, but also uplift and improve their quality of life. Next slide. Since I have 1 minute left, I'll just walk through pictures. So these are some cases where we have installed weather station sensors. We have put some stuff on drones. We're working on it. If you follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn and every other place to see more updates of what we do, more future stuff. But next slide. This video won't play, but check us out on YouTube. We have some videos where you will more about us. Next slide. And automation as a technology brings ROI in 2 crop cycle, because you are eliminating a labor task which usually is getting higher and you have to pay a cost to do anything. And so our systems bring ROI, reduce water and reduce input and cost, and increase. Yeah, and you can just now slide through all the next slides. I think I'm out of time, so but here we have an impact rule, which is to deploy more sensors and more hubs across. And yeah, this market is huge, and we are running we have raised very less fund. Next slide, please. We have raised just 500K, and we have been 6 years in operation. Next slide.
Thanks, Naveen. Really appreciate you being mindful of the time, and also sharing with us the breadth of your solution. I really appreciated the mindfulness in the approach of retrofitting solutions into the existing infrastructure and lack thereof on farms, and the really actionable dashboards that you shared. I actually wanted to ask a little bit about some of actually customer support and after sales support that you provide. I mean, so many times I've seen hardware like that that they're building sitting unused and unutilized on the farm. Continuity and consistency of the use is a real challenge, and you do have a really broad breadth of actually those solutions that you bring. So what have you learned about the type of after sales support, customer support that's actually required to make digitization truly work and be utilized regularly by farmers and their value chain partners?
So, farmers are human and every human loves good service and supports like we love our service and support. So, but with farm, you are running mission critical items. For us particularly, if our system goes down, they are not able to give water or they are used to some workflows and it's not happening. So for us, we strive for a 24-hour turnaround time. We prioritize our service and support to an extent that we may deploy devices only if we have a cluster of service and support network there. But it's the most important aspect of anyone selling, particularly hardware to a farmer. If your system is down, their life and their earnings are on stake. So it cannot you cannot scale without having a good support system and giving a assurance to farmers that this will work and they will trust you, and then only that option will happen. So it's very important in building trust in the technology.
Thanks, Naveen. Really appreciate that. I think humans appreciate and value good service is a very, very powerful takeaway from that. I appreciate that. Borj, I'll hand it back to you.
So much, Justin and Naveen. I think that was a pretty interesting question. If we have more time, I'd probably ask that all around the room. But now that we're on to our next presenter, over to you then, Brian of Brian and Tech.
Thank you, Borj. So hi, I'm the co-founder of Rhino Technologies. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so we are based out of Vietnam, Singapore, and India. We develop and manufacture smart devices and cloud-based solutions for various industries, which include agriculture. Next, please. So we started out as two companies, the first one in Singapore that was focused on traceability, and the other one in Vietnam that was focused on agriculture. So over the years, we've developed different technologies to address challenges in farming in Vietnam, from solutions to mitigate salinity intrusion, to smart fertilizers, to solutions for shrimp farming, and also some of the solutions that we'll talk about today. Our products and technologies have won a bunch of awards, as you can see, but I think more importantly, they have been deployed throughout Vietnam and also in neighboring countries like Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, and even farther away places like Japan. Next, please. So agriculture in Vietnam faces many different challenges. We as a company decided to focus on three major ones. The first is land degradation. Due to overuse of input materials like fertilizers and pesticides, the soil quality has degraded over time. So this has resulted in lower yields and lower income for farmers. The second thing we wanted to focus on was greenhouse gas emissions. So farming globally, as I think everyone here knows, is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. And Vietnam, being a top producer in rice, contributes to that through methane emissions. And the third thing we wanted to focus on was agricultural pests. So annually, up to like 40% of crop production is lost due to pests. And the economic damage due to invasive insects is in the tens of billions, if not more. So in reaction to this, farmers tend to overuse pesticides. And this has long-term negative consequences for the environment and also for consumer health. Next, please. So what we've developed is basically a comprehensive 360 solution. It's complete with an array of IoT devices and smart sensors that captures various parameters and data on farms, in waterways, and more. And we send all this data to the cloud for real-time analysis. Next, please. So our AI algorithms then use all this data to provide in-depth analysis, forecasts, even recommendations to authorities and to farmers. And all of our devices can be controlled by a smartphone through the mobile app, through SaaS software, or they can even run by themselves. Next, please. So, for example, I think we've heard a lot about alternate wetting and drying in rice paddies yesterday, especially with yesterday's cohort. Farmers using AWD reduce methane emissions drastically. They reduce water usage, lower production costs, and even improve soil health and yields. And so what we've developed at Reinen is a smart AWD device that measures the water levels in real time. So farmers can have access to this information right from their smartphones. Next, please. But we've also gone a step further and developed other devices like a smart water pump, smart water gate, smart water quality sensors. And this basically allows farmers the ability to automate the entire AWD process in an optimal way. So, for example, if the water level falls below a certain threshold, the smart pump or a smart water gate can automatically bring in the water into your rice paddy fields at exactly the right time. Next, please. And because we know that AWD reduces methane emissions, the question then becomes by how much and how quickly can we know? So this is why we also developed a smart methane emission monitoring system that can accurately measure methane emissions from rice paddies without any human intervention. And this system will allow for a quicker and easier way to evaluate farmers' AWD practices and hopefully pave the way for Vietnam and farmers to get access to the global carbon credit market. Next, please. We also developed a smart soil nutrient measuring system that can not only measure the NPK levels of the soil in a farm, but also other parameters like pH or the moisture levels in the soil. And basically what this will allow farmers to do is use fertilizers and water in a more targeted manner. So water usage, labor costs, and even reduce greenhouse gas emissions. As you know, like using too much fertilizer results in nitrous oxide emission, which is a greenhouse gas that is essentially 200 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Next, please. Finally, we also developed an insect monitoring system, which automatically attracts more than 120 different species of insects using LED lights and pheromones. So this system basically captures and analyzes insect images and provides information on insect population and trends in a region in real time. It's also solar powered. It includes a weather monitoring station, and it also cleans itself. So one of the biggest pain points for insect monitoring systems is that they rely on sticky traps, and farmers need to clean them out every few days. And this is especially worse in places where the insect density is a lot more. But with our system, we basically have eliminated that. Next, please. So if farmers know the population of pests, of harmless insects, and also of the natural predators of this pest in their farm, they can use pesticides in a far more targeted manner. We even have examples of rice farmers in Vietnam that have farms within our insect monitoring network where they completely remove the use of pesticides because they can see from the system that there's a balance between the pests and their natural predators in their farms. Next, please. So for our business model, it is pretty straightforward. We work with governments, the departments of agriculture, to provide the devices, the data, the analysis, and the forecast. So this is with the Department of Agriculture, NGOs, enterprises, international partners. And they in turn provide this data, forecast, and recommendations to farmers, which allow farmers to use far more sustainable farming practices. And then farmers who are using these practices will be able to get better yields to lower their costs, but they'll also be able to earn a premium for their crops that are grown in a more sustainable way. And the thing about the way we set up our system and our network is that everything is traceable all the way back to the farm. Next, please. So here's our roadmap. So currently we're working with the Department of Agriculture in Vietnam and different NGOs to identify suitable places for our technology. Currently, we're in 7 different locations in different provinces, from Dong Thap to Tra Vinh. and our devices cover over 350 hectares of land in Vietnam. And by 2025, along with the smart and low emission rice farming project in Vietnam, we hope to cover over 180,000 hectares of land in 2025, by 2025. And by 2030, hopefully we can expand to the entirety of the million hectare project. And finally, I think a lot of the problems that we face in the Mekong Delta is pretty similar to the problems that other countries in the region face. So our hope is that we'll be able to expand and work with partners in these countries like Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, to spread our technology and solutions there. And throughout this entire process, our aim is to continually develop and improve all the technology so that it can be tailored to the needs of the places and the people that we serve. Yeah.
Thanks,
so
Brian.
Thank you, please.
Gonna jump. Well, oh, perfect timing. Okay. Well, thanks, Brian. I just want to say, applaud your team and the kind of ecosystem approach that you've taken. Pretty incredible to see how you've covered every corner of automation, really from a use case perspective. I thought that AWD example was a really powerful one. But rather than ask about your technology, I want to ask more about your users. You know, the group represented here today that is the only one that is based in Vietnam and has had the longest presence in the region. And given that this Grow Innovation Challenge really focused on working with rice farmers in Vietnam and Cambodia in particular, I'm really interested in kind of your long-term perspective. Like, how have users, smallholders' attitudes towards digital agricultural technology changed over the course of the period in which you've been operating in Vietnam?
Yeah. So I think pretty much everybody here and also the other cohorts know that farmers tend to be a bit more on the conservative side when it comes to adopting new technologies. So basically how we work here at Rhinen is that I think first we work with the policymakers who are pushing a lot of these initiatives. And so we try to understand exactly what sort of policies to sustainable farming they want to have. And then from there, we work with the farmers to understand their pain points and their needs. And then we try to develop a solution that basically either tries to automate as much as possible or makes things as easy as possible so that it is not a painful process for them, for example, to collect data, right? And I think a lot of the systems out there right now, especially that require farmer intervention, is very challenging. So our goal as a team is essentially to develop solutions where it's pretty seamless for the farmers to adopt. And given that our business model is we tend to work more with governments and NGOs, a lot of the costs is not borne by the farmers themselves. So they get a lot of the benefits, and they don't have to deal with a lot of either the costs or the pain of trying to adopt new technologies. So essentially, that's our approach.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, great business model and insights with respect to the power of automation. So I appreciate that. And I'll hand it back to Borch.
Thank you
so much, Justin and Brian. And some of what Brian said actually resonates as well with some of our innovators and also resonates with the Grow Asia and I think Beanstalk partnership as well for this innovation challenge in particular. Thank you for that. Now on to, people always say this, last but not the least, please allow me to welcome our last presenter for today, Sarathi from WRMS. Over to you.
All right. Thank you, Borch. Am I audible?
Very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. No, very insightful sessions and presentations so far. I'd love to unpack more. Thanks for the opportunity. On to WRMS, right, which is short for Weather Risk Management Services. We're a company that's passionate and focused on solving climate-related challenges for farmers and low-income communities through a combination of data, technology, and innovative insurance solutions. Now, we've been around for a while. We've been around for 20 years. That's when we launched our first weather risk solution for farmers in India. And since then, we've had the fortune of being supported by strong partners across various sectors. Agriculture is a key focus market for us, but increasingly dependence and support from financial services, so insurance companies, lenders, MFIs, and multilateral agencies like UNCDF, WFP have been very instrumental, supportive, and core to our growth. So we're now present in just over 20 countries across the globe. So that's maybe one each year. Hopefully that scales a lot faster, with a strong focus on emerging markets across the globe. We pioneered parametric insurance in 5 countries, and hopefully a few more to add in the next 12 months. We also have, as part of our group, a subsidiary that manufactures and installs IoTs for various use cases in the agriculture and dairy industries. Next slide, please. Okay, so I think the challenges we're all maybe familiar, maybe overly familiar with the challenges that we're seeing on the ground, right? And that's where we like to start with any new program, any new territory, any new opportunity or challenge, right? What's the person on the ground exposed to? What's their sentiment? What's relevant for him or her, right? And the various challenges. So one is technologies being thrust in all different forms and directions, right? And whilst we're positioning and showcasing the value out of technology, there's clearly a bit of friction in that technology being adopted due to various reasons that the farmer is obviously very, very present to and aware of, but maybe we're not addressing them adequately enough. Flat yield growth, it's with improved farming practices, with even the limited adoption of additional technology, yield is still stagnant or even dwindling in some cases. High exposure to risk and volatility, and obviously price volatility is a big issue, in addition to climate. Next slide, please. All right, so what we've done, and we've realized, again, echoing a lot of the fellow presenters here today, it needs to be holistic. It needs to be a holistic intervention, either with us or ideally with a lot of partners covering various elements of the ecosystem. A one and done sort of approach does not work because you're trying to force fit something into a solution and it doesn't sync with the entire journey or the ecosystem of the farmer. So what we've done and built and introduced over the last 3 years is SecuFarm, which is an income guaranteeing solution for the farmers. Now, it covers 3 fundamental pillars. So one is enhancing the yield, transferring a bit of financial risk, and improving market linkages. Right. The impact of achieving all of this is obvious, and it's laid down below. But what I'll maybe touch on briefly is how we're going about achieving all of this, because easier said than done, right? Next slide, please. Okay, so there are the 3 key pillars to achieving SecuFarm at the end of the day. One is the data stack, and I won't go into detail in all of these, but happy to if relevant. So we rely on a composite set of data, and in our database, we're adding over 30 million data points on a daily basis, right? So this is both local ground station network data, both public and private, as well as gridded climate and remote sense data, as well as government agriculture departments, yield databases, and other cooperative yield databases that we aggregate and transform into something that's relevant and can be used for various solutions, especially in the field of, if you go to the next slide, parametric insurance, right? And parametric insurance is very data dependent. What we realized, it's also very technology dependent, because a lot of what it says and promises can only be achieved with a certain level of technology intervention. So SecuRisk is our digital first parametric insurance platform that addresses various needs and wants of stakeholders in the ecosystem. So for the farmers, there's an onboarding experience, a claims user experience. For carriers and brokers as well, there's a place to be understanding of how to design these, maybe simple, but still fairly foreign insurance programs. So SecuRisk addresses all of this. And the next slide, please. And then we get to SecuFarm, which, combines the best of SecuRisk and SecuSense, the data and the insurance stack, into a full end-to-end income guaranteeing solution for the farmers. Right? So it covers, right from geotagging the farm, advisory, risk management through the process, and then a guaranteed income with the linkages. Next slide, please. Critical to this at the back end is again that risk transfer element, and this is a dynamic approach that we have maybe accidentally realized over the years in terms of how we ensure there's certain acceptance and adherence to advisory as long as it's relevant, and then layering on or increasing the financial risk transfer as well as the promised income as we see the increased sort of adherence and adoption of best practices. Now, the best practices obviously need to be customized and not a generic spray and pray that it works across a wide set of group. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm not sure how much time I have left, but feel free to stop me as I'm running through this, and maybe I'll touch on one or two case studies here. So in the Philippines and in Vietnam, we've had some interesting work. We like to try and bundle our solutions because, especially if it's something new, no one wakes up wanting about anything, especially from farmer, anything other than credit. Insurance is definitely the last thing on their mind, and SecuFarm may be like, what's this? I'm not bothered about it for the moment. So how do we introduce something that definitely has a lot of value, but has a lot of value for each stakeholder that we're trying to that we're seeing in the ecosystem, right? So in this case, Bayer, who's one of our partners in the Philippines, they were introducing vegetable seeds. They were seeing a lot of volatility in the demand because of the unexpected weather patterns and the increased volatility in weather across the Philippines. It's across the world at the moment. So how do they achieve this trust in farmers that even if there's some issue, right, and the rainfall happens earlier than expected or a lot more than expected, we've still got your back on the investment you made in purchasing our seed packets, and we designed a proposition that covered the key risks that could ultimately cost or fail that investment. In this case, it was rainfall, but then we transformed this to rainfall, cyclone, and now drought as well. That is attached for free along with each packet of seed purchase, and the farmer gets relief by compensation of either seed packets or vouchers that can then be redeemed against any future purchases. Now, this is win-win for all stakeholders. For the farmers, they can trust and make that investment. For Bayer, they see an increased credibility, market share, and promotion of their programs. And at the end, the agriculture industry also thrives because there's now an increased sort of risk adoption by the farmers, right? So this is one example, and there's a strong digital element to how this was implemented as well. Justin, I see you about to stop me.
I'm going to stop you, but I know I
Yeah.
appreciate it and appreciate you coming to the close of that case. I think that was a really great case example. So maybe I will, in the spirit of sharing some of the case stories of success and the way that you've been using Secure Farm and unique approaches to parametric insurance and business models that enable that. Obviously, very topical and challenging this week was the super typhoon Yagi that hit Southeast Asia, and particularly in northern Vietnam for the relevance of this conversation. And do you have any solutions, programs that could protect farmers from similar events like that in the future, or case studies that would relate to that type of situation?
Yeah, we do actually, and maybe I won't dive into the details, but we spent a lot of time both in Philippines and Vietnam where we introduced typhoon cover. I was actually in the Philippines and also partly in Vietnam when Typhoon Yagi, which was Enteng in Philippines and then Super Typhoon Yagi in Vietnam, was passing through. So our weather index covers this risk and this exposure. Obviously, there's a layer of granularity to it. Is the farmer within that vicinity? Was it covered? So it worked really well. Weather index, I think, has a lot of value. One of the challenges is how we make it more affordable, because with the increasing propensity, obviously it becomes a lot more costly to design these programs. And that affordability element by way of bundling and by way of data is something that we're addressing at the moment, but happy to share more offline as well, Justin.
Thanks, Sarati. Appreciate that. And boards, maybe I'll push back to you.
Thank you so much, Justin and Sarathi. I think these are really interesting. And again, similar to our other innovators, if I could, I would ask this question to everyone. But now on to a more exciting part as well. Let's bring back all of our innovators on the screen, please. Don't worry, our back end support will be able to support us on that. And we're going to have our short and sweet panel discussion for today. I'll pass it over to Justin to ask some questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Borge. So I think we actually have we're already tracking quite a bit behind, but I want to make sure that we got a chance to bring everybody back into the conversation. So maybe I'll ask one question and ask if we can keep it brief for give 30 seconds if you can. I think it's particularly relevant given the focus on the Grow Asia Innovation Challenge on really facilitating meaningful partnerships between the innovators like those presented here today and the ecosystems that can help to ensure success for both them and the smallholder farmers that are beneficiaries here. So just a question to each of you. Who are the external partners and the influencers that you think will contribute most to your success in scaling your work with smallholder rice farmers in Vietnam and Cambodia, and why? Why is that? And hello to Borges Dog. Maybe I'll start on my right-hand side. And Naveen, do you want to answer that first?
I can, but I would prefer someone who is actively involved in Vietnam may answer. But I will take it. I'll take it. I think the most important partners are the stakeholders who are already at the last mile with the farmers. They have built their trust. They are trading either fertilizer or seeds or any sort of relation. Because most of the time, when a company sitting in, say, Bangkok or New York or Mumbai, people like us go and talk to farmers, it doesn't establish trust and credibility compared to one of the local vendors who is already built that relationship with the farmers over a period of years. So I think for us in India particularly, we have found it very critical to build a local connection to establish the trust with the farmers. These can be NGOs, this can be distributors, this can be government agency, anyone who is at the last mile in the close proximity. All the organizations play a very important role in making sure any of the technology that we develop and build is getting utilized and accepted.
Thanks, Naveen, for reflecting on the experience from India and informing that as well. Teresa, can I come to you and ask what this looks like for you in Vietnam and Cambodia?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I can piggyback off what Naveen said. If it's a B2B distributed model, then those are exactly the partners that we would work with as well, governments and any type of food system stakeholders, basically everyone that has access to farmer communicates and communities and implements like climate or agricultural projects in the region. What is also very relevant to us as Ignitia, since we also have a significant direct-to-consumer segment where we have farmers self-subscribe through channels that are accessible to them. We partner with infrastructure providers, vast aggregators, and the telcos in the region as well.
Thanks, Teresa. Simon?
Yeah, I'm going to repeat both Naveen and Teresa probably. I mean, trust is the big one, right? So it's finding those partners that have that trust and credibility with the farmers already. For us, in terms of the space we work in, it would be primarily through AWD rice, so alternating wetting and drying. Our sensors don't actually work in a flooded rice paddy environment. So, and that then comes down to, the governments and the NGOs and the other people that are pushing through the projects to get farmers to adopt AWD rice or to change to AWD rice primarily. And so, that would be our primary focus in that one, and they would be the key partners, both to work through and as the customer, but also, if you are selling direct to customer, you still need those backings of credible people within the environment to actually provide that for you as well. And we would, whether you're actually selling to the government or not in particular, there's still a key stakeholder for you.
Thanks, Simon. What does this look like for you, Arvind? Who are the partners, influencers that you think will be most critical to support your entry, growth, and vision of quality service in Vietnam?
Yeah, I think most of them covered all the points, but I'd like to segment this in three different categories. First thing is the governing category. So who are the bodies that are into governance, or the bodies that are, talking about policies, etc. So that is one aspect. The second aspect is the validation aspect in terms of which are those departments of agriculture or horticulture or any colleges that are included in Vietnam, Cambodia, etc., and all the government colleges, etc., who are taking up projects, all these things that will really help us in terms of validating the product on the ground. And the next big thing is the partners out there, like the consultants, the village level influencers, the farmers, all these aspects who can actually test it on the ground. So these are the three different layers in terms of getting anybody into any market. So that's what we believe in, and this is the right approach in terms of influencing influences that we want to tie up. Yeah.
Thanks, Arvind. Yeah, 360-degree ecosystem approach to match, I think, your solution as well. And Sarathi, can I ask the same of you?
No, Justin, you're always on the spot. Now, I think again, echoing a lot of what everyone said, it needs to be a multi-layered, multi-stakeholder approach. In addition to the ones indicated, maybe I probably just re-highlight financial services, access to credit. How do we partner with lending institutions, both formal and informal? In the Philippines, especially, pawn shops and informal lending is a key part of the farmers' access to credit. So how do we work with those stakeholders? And who's the farmer's first point of contact? It's usually the field technicians or the trusted, advisor who's an individual and not a company or an organization, right? And how do we ensure that they are part of the program and they're sort of on board and on side with what we're trying to do. So those would be two additional critical stakeholders from my side.
Thanks, Sarathi. And then maybe I might close with Brian, but maybe to twist on that question. I know that you mentioned obviously how deeply involved you are, how deeply engaged you are already in the local ecosystem and with support from governments and NGOs in Vietnam. But you mentioned looking outward, so into Thailand and other areas across the Mekong. So what do you see as critical partnerships that you're seeking, looking for, and aim to benefit for that will support your growth across the region?
Yeah, so like you're right in saying that we were pretty close with the policymakers here in Vietnam, but our international partners that we find basically see what we do in Vietnam, and usually who we work with in other countries are partners who are either already deeply involved in ag tech, or they're in the food space and they already have a working relationship either with farmers or with policymakers as well, right? And from our experience, how Vietnam works is very different than, for example, how Indonesia works, right? So usually we like to partner with local partners who understand the local dynamics a lot better than we do. And so in each country, it's something different, right? Some places it's an NGO that we work with, and in other places it's a private corporation. So it really depends. And for us, it's just we want to work with people who are passionate about this and who know the local dynamics. And I think having all these different stakeholders who have this experience and knowledge is the best way to go about things. Yeah, so that'll be my answer.
Thanks, Brian. I think that's a great reflection to close on, given the time we have, and hopefully some of the folks that are those target partners here in this call and engaging with this program here today. So thanks. With that, I'll hand it back to Borch. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Justin, for moderating that session, and a huge thanks to our fantastic innovators for the Grow Asia Innovation Challenge 2024. Simon, Theresa, and Stacy, Aravind, Naveen, Brian, Sarathi, and Alomar, who's there. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. And these are really inspiring. And to our incredible audience, thank you for your active participation. I see our Q&A blowing up as well. And thanks to our panelists for answering those questions as well. It's really I can feel the energy through the screen, through the Q&A box itself. Now we're down to our final minutes and would love to hear your feedback for today's session. And thank you so much, Hong. Could you please launch our last poll of the day, please? Thank you. And we just want to ask as well our audience and how useful this session had been. Again, the Digital Learning Series is a series of webinars that GrowAsia and our partners in the network are supporting. So if you are able to join us in the next one, we'll show you a way on how to do that in a while. Let's get the poll kicking. And all right, we'll end the poll now. No need to share those results yet, but thank you so much for answering. Now let's move over to our panelists. If you can turn on your videos again for a really quick group chat, group photo, and let's capture this moment with you. Big smiles, please, everyone. And 1, 2, 3. Great, we got that. I'm pretty sure we got that. Thank you again, everyone, for your support. And it has been a pleasure. Thank you for having us this afternoon, morning, or evening, and allow us to really welcome again our set of innovators for the GrowAsia Innovation Challenge 2024. And if you want to learn more about the Digital Learning Series, the GrowAsia Innovation Challenge, follow us on LinkedIn. The QR is right in your screen. And again, this session is brought to you by the GrowVentures, part of GrowAsia, supported by Visa, Taiwan, Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs of the Government of Korea through the International Fund for Agriculture Development, or IFAD, under the Smallholder Economic Empowerment through Digital Solutions Project, or SEEDS. And thanks to my colleagues from the Beanstalk AgTech team for supporting our GrowAsia Innovation Challenge 2024. That's it for today. Goodbye for now and have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Thank you for joining.